Good early morning from Monterey, California, and welcome to the world premiere LiveReplay TV Broadcast. From the booth, I'm Jeremy Kerr, and on behalf of the entire team here, we couldn't be more excited to bring an entirely new type of broadcast to the iRacing community. You don't need to be a pro driver or in the top split to get professional quality broadcasts of your races. LiveReplay TV takes your racing replays and makes them broadcast-worthy, adding professional graphics, overlays, and color commentary that bring your races and on-track battles to life. At LiveReplay TV, if you can make your races replay-worthy, we can make your replays broadcast-worthy. And LiveReplay TV is proud to be the official broadcast voice of the Team 4SR League Championships, which is where we begin today. This is a head-to-head championship between two of the top Team 4SR drivers, and I must say I think this is the most unique and interesting championship format I've seen in a while. Starting with the drivers, Jeremy Kerr recently moved to the beautiful oceanside town of Nanaimo, British Columbia, and Jean-François Richard, or JF, is based in the historic and cultural epicenter of Montreal, Quebec. For those less familiar with the geography of Canada, these team members are separated by almost 5,000 kilometers, a 3-hour time difference, and quite often several hundred points in IR. All of those circumstances led the team to create this flexible and unique championship format. The championship includes 12 weeks of racing, and while the points put these two drivers head-to-head each week on the board, they don't necessarily need to drive head-to-head on the track. Week 1 starts here at the iconic WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and each week a series is pulled from the official iRacing schedule, providing even more variety and challenge, with the drivers needing to master a different track and car each week. In order to accommodate the different schedules and iRating, which make it difficult for the drivers to join the same split all the time, each driver is allowed an unlimited number of solo attempts in the official scheduled series for the week. Only the highest result is scored. At the end of each week, Race Day Sunday provides one officially scheduled slot that provides the drivers an opportunity to compete head-to-head on the track. Championship point system is similar to Formula 1, with 25 points awarded for P1, all the way down to a single point for finishing in P10. To sweeten the pot, there are also 3 categories of bonus points available for the taking. In order to incentivize driver participation on Race Day Sunday, 5 bonus points are awarded just for racing in that Sunday slot. In addition, drivers are still welcome to try to join the same split throughout the week, and anytime a driver does finish ahead of the other, they will earn a 1-point head-to-head bonus. And finally, if a driver manages to secure the fastest lap of the entire field, they will be also awarded an additional 1 point. Drivers are allowed 2 drop weeks, so only the best 10 of 12 weeks will be counted towards the championship. We're looking forward to bringing you a great season of racing, and wish luck to both drivers. Qualifying is next. And Week 1 of the 4SR Championship comes to you today from the middle of wine country, on a track I would argue has possibly one of the most recognizable, and most appropriately named corners, the Corkscrew. It's just past 7 a.m. The current conditions at Laguna Seca are partly sunny skies with a temperature of a comfortable 26 degrees, and since that sun is only starting to rise above the hills, the track temperature is still a cool 18 degrees, and that should translate into some relatively quick qualifying times. And welcome back as we tag along with Kerr completing his first of 2 qualifying laps. As he comes through the rainy curve, looking to maximize his approach. Catching a lot of the sausage curb there, which is maybe going to impact his first posted time here. Rounding turn 11 to the final straight. And he puts in a first time of a 139.272. As he comes to the Andretti hairpin, nicely connecting on both apexes there, leading into turn number 3. We'll sit on board with Kerr here as he finishes this second qualifying lap. A little bit wide on the exit of turn 4. You could hear him lift on the throttle just momentarily, and that is not going to do his qualifying time any service. Up towards the kink. Into the Ray Hall straight, which leads uphill towards the almost blind corkscrew. Nicely navigated there for Kerr. A little bit of a lift coming through the rainy curve. His line seems to be on. Also collecting the apex for turn 10. And carrying his speed right out to the green apron. There is some leniency there in terms of the off track. And Kerr crosses the line with his second qualifying lap time of a 139.775. So that lift earlier on in that qualifying lap did cost him a little bit, about a half second overall. And when we come back, we'll see where that 139.2 puts him on the grid. The race is next. And welcome back as we get ready for the formation lap to begin this race. We'll have a look again at the current track conditions here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Forecast is still that mix of sun and clouds. Air temperature 26. No change to the track temperature yet, still a cool 18. I think the beginning of this race, we're going to see a pretty rapid pace. Now this is a production car challenge, the PCC series, which normally has mixed classes from Mustang to Jetta to the MX-5 and Pontiac Solstice. But as you can see in this formation, as they get ready to start their formation lap, this is a full grid of 30 Mazda MX-5s. So while we won't get the multi-class component that normally happens in this series, we're sure to get some very close racing from front to back, I'm sure. And as that pace car pulls away, you can see the 23 car of Kerr starting just ahead of mid-pack in the field, and let's have a look at how that grid is shaping up. Grabbing the pole today with a 138.66 is Juan Francisco Peleas Canchillo. Beside him, Hernando with another 138 at a 138.7. P3, Florentin. P4, Edmondson. Hualta grabs P5 with a 139. And Maraza, also with a low 139, is P6. Kalis grabs P7 with a 139.2, and ATVO beside him in P8 with a 139.26. And the Team 4SR League racer today, Kerr, did manage to qualify within the top 10, so that's already starting within championship points. This is a solo attempt, his teammate not in the same split, not racing today. And beside him in P10 is Perez with a 139.28. Hampton and Jones in P11 and 12. Boskert 13, Figueres in 14th. Brangelis with a 140.2 in P15. Madrana P16. Tejada managed a 17, beside him Noon in 18th, as they all wind their way through that corkscrew, getting ready to race. Pace car will be up momentarily. And here's the remainder of that 30-car grid, with many drivers not managing to post a time. Lap car is now off. Number 4 car of Hernando and Kenchio up in the lead. Coming down the straightaway, and we're green light, we're racing. This becomes a critical lap for positioning. Don't want to be too aggressive and take yourself out of the race early. At the same time, positioning in a shorter race is pretty much everything. Racers off to a clean start, although I did hear a collision in the background, but nothing happening up at the front. We'll try to report back on what might have happened in the backfield, but right now, focusing on this lead string of racers. In a nice formation, there's not really any side-by-side racing, but a car is off in the back. Way in the backfield, somebody spun. Remain focused on the leaders here at the beginning. Through the kink. Up the hill, into the corkscrew for the first time. And that's the number 2 car almost making a move. Getting a good view from on board the number 2 car. Didn't quite make the move through the corkscrew. Now coming through the rainy curve. Takes a lot of that curb and needs to back off and fight for that position another day. Starting to develop quite a bit there. As the leaders come around the final turn, we will start to have a look at how this race is taking shape. And after one lap, Kenchio is your leader, ahead of Florentin, and Hualta looks like he's out, so that might have been one of the cars that we saw spinning earlier. Hernando, currently P4. And our 4SR driver, Kerr, looks like he's actually dropped 2 spots, so maybe in all that activity we were hearing in the backfield, Kerr might have got caught up in that, and he's already dropped 2 places. You can see him just in the top of your picture there behind a group of drivers. Hampton and Perez are now ahead of him, and that's put him out of any championship points for the day, and with no bonus points on the table, it's really position that's going to make a dent in that championship, and I'm sure he's going to want to start moving up in this field. Looking at the leaderboard, Kenchio with a slight lead over Florentin, less than half a second. Definitely draft there. Let's focus on the Team 4SR driver. Oh, before we do, though, the number 2 car is spinning. That was Hernando, losing it just outside of the rainy curve. That is unfortunate. And his day might be done. And we join the battle for P10 it looks like, with Kerr diving on the inside of the 18, and that is Tom Hampton. So they had a little bit of battle coming down the straightway there on the end of lap 2, and Kerr regaining a position now 2, maybe because of that spin from the number 2 car. And Kerr now finds himself back where he started, just 2 seconds behind Perez. So back onto the league championship board in terms of points. Lots of time left, though, for him to keep moving. And Kerr and Hampton come down through the corkscrew. Hampton not quite close enough to make a move, but right on his bumper there. Hampton going a little wide, but that's not the line for a pass through rainy curve, at least not today, but he's not done yet. He's going to look on the outside, coming through turn 10. Needs to back off a little bit. Another tricky place to make a move on the outside, because your momentum really is going to take you to the outer edge. And Kerr on the defense, though, sensing that pressure. Hampton on the inside, coming against the wall down the main straight. Is he going to be able to regain the position? This seems to be a battle. Maybe this is going to be the battle, or a battle of the race to watch. And Kerr back to the inside, but he's too far back. So he gives up that position for now. But some good driving by these two drivers, not allowing either to get much distance on the other, and a great view from 23 vehicle of Kerr. And you can see Hampton sliding the back of that Miata a little bit under power. And that's opened the door a little bit for Kerr, who had a look on the outside, but it's so important on that turn 6 to really hook up on the apex towards the left. It wasn't really an opportunity for him to pass just yet. Coming into the kink, they're going to want to maintain their momentum coming up this hill. And we have a look at that distance now between Kerr and Hampton. See if Kerr can close in on that any. Nice line through the corkscrew. And that gained him a 1/10 of a second at least. Both cars driving to the limits as they slide those MX-5s to either side of the tarmac here. Kerr's back to the main driving line, not having to go defensive like he did 2 laps ago. What kind of exit can he get here? We can see on that relative. Looks like he has a bit of a run, already gained over a 1/10 coming down the main straight towards the Andretti hairpin, but that's not going to be enough to make a move. So he'll need to sit tight in P10 for now. Another great look from on board, as this turn 4 is almost full out. A little bit of a lift. Good opportunity for drivers to maximize whatever slipstream there is being provided from these Mazdas. Carrying that speed into the kink. 2/10 now behind Hampton, as we just got a glimpse of a car. That was Perez, black and green car that was just off, rotated sideways, so he's going to lose a whole bunch of positions as Perez almost drops off of our timing board. Kerr still hunting for that P8. Falling back a little bit though. Half a second now behind Tom Hampton. As Tom kicks up a little bit of dirt. Oh, and going quite a bit wide. Could be a slowdown. If not, that's at least an off track. That opens the door. Kerr now on the inside. Almost deja vu, but reverse of what was happening a few laps ago. Tom had the jump and took the position. from the inside, but this time Kerr manages to maintain that position. And he's staying defensive. We'll just update these relative graphics now that Kerr has grabbed that position. So now it's Kerr in front in P8. And Hampton behind. We'll need to update that timing. It looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. We'll have our team work on that right away. But Hampton now on the outside. Again, that's not really the best place to try to make an overtake on the outside. Best to bide your time and make that move. And the corkscrew is a 13 car having troubles coming up that straight. And so did Kerr. We saw him actually collect a little bit of dirt. So he's forced to go back to being defensive. And he's been hard on the brakes and opens the door for Hampton, who's on the outside of the rainy straight. A very difficult place to make that move, but if you do get it, then you've got the inside line on turn 10, but Hampton wasn't quite there. Huge opportunity when Kerr opened that door, but Hampton not quite able to deliver, and Kerr again for the second lap in a row is going defensive. He's got Hampton right on his bumper now, moving on to the outside. We'll see if Kerr sticks on that inside line. He has no choice now. It's going to be hard on the brakes. That's going to compromise his speed. So will Tom have more momentum carrying around the outside? It looks like he doesn't. It's a good opportunity there. Hampton could have secured the position. Kerr good on the brakes. Both drivers going safely side by side through that complex. And Hampton is not ready to concede this position just yet. Kerr, though, looking to separate. Create some space, and now he's got 7 tenths, 8 tenths. He's looking to get Hampton out of his draft so that he can continue to move up the field, and he's doing that quite successfully. We'll see how he does through the kink. Great place to either pull away or catch the guy in front of you. Down through the corkscrew. Both drivers taking nice clean lines. And looks like Kerr is safely in this position for now. So we'll move up, further up in that field. Looks like there might be a battle happening for the lead. We join the leaders, Florentin and Canchillo, separated by 1 second. Looks like Canchillo might have made a little bit of a mistake. We joined him just a moment too late, as those drivers were a little bit closer earlier on in the lap. And Khalees having trouble. You can see that dented front right of the number 5 car. And we'll see how that impacts. And just in the background there, you could see that battle we've been following, Kerr and Hampton, with Khalees making that mistake. Is that going to make yet another position available for Kerr to move up in the championship points? Let's have another look at this battle. Looked like Kerr was going defensive again. But he does have that space opened up. Not quite out of draft range. Not that there's a lot of draft generated by these sporty MX-5s, but certainly enough for Hampton to keep Kerr from completely escaping. And with that earlier mistake of Kalis, as we look on board, beautiful shot of that Laguna Seca sunrise, Kerr is starting to close in on Kalis. So he's already moved from starting in P9 up to P7 right now. And we're only halfway through this race, so there's definitely more championship points available for the taking, and Kerr is looking at them right now. Nice and clean through that kink. It's actually a very tricky sequence to get right. You can't quite go full throttle, or you'll find yourself in the dirt on the far side, but if you lift too much, that uphill is absolutely going to kill your momentum, and you'll become prey for the car behind you who might want to go for a pass at the downhill corkscrew. So Kerr now back to the outside, realizing he doesn't have to be defensive on this lap. Trying to shake Hampton out of that draft. So far to no avail, only 0.8 separates him from Tom Hampton in P8. I'm sure Kerr is really wanting to be focusing more on the cars ahead than the car behind, but that's really where this battle has been for the majority of the race. Kerr needing to go defensive for several laps early on. Now finally finding his rhythm and getting back onto that driving line. Hampton now dropping off to a second and a half. But ahead, Kalis and Edmondson are hot on each other's tails. So how is that battle going to impact Kerr's chances for closing in on some more positions? We'll join that number 5 car. And you can see the damage that he's collected. That's probably not going to have much of an impact on his overall speed, not on a track like this or with cars like these. But there's a great shot. Kerr was the last in that 3-car train, and there you see them again. Kerr closing in, trying to catch up to Edmondson. As we look down that straightaway, have a look at the new battle between Edmondson and Kerr, with Kerr now looking for a possible P6. And we'll sit on board here with number 7 car of, or sorry, the number 23 car of Kerr, who's now in P7. Seeing nothing through his windshield but potential additional championship points. Several laps remaining, at least 5, coming through the corkscrew. Nice and clean. You saw a little bit of dirt kicked up from the number 15 of Edmondson. That's allowing Kerr to close right in on him, now less than a half a second. Unlikely to be able to make a move before the end of this lap, but now well within draft, especially with a nice clean turn 10 here. Is he going to be able to get a run? This is going to be really important if he's going to want to collect this new position right now, and he is right on his bumper. 0.4 behind. What kind of run did he get, if any? Not quite a run, but he's not falling behind. And Kalis in P5 is also not that far off. Kerr with a very tight line through the turn 1, turn 2 complex. You could see Edmondson maybe pushing a little harder or being a little bit later on his brakes. Was much wider through there. Didn't seem to affect his overall speed too much. We're getting great views of this as it develops right now. Edmondson was in a direct battle, and it was really just him and Callis that were fighting for a while. We didn't see exactly what happened, what precipitated Callis going off. But with that damage, he hit something. Might have been the wall, maybe another car. I don't see any damage on Edmondson from this angle, at least from what Kerr can see from this position. But the result is Callis and Edmondson are now within striking range for Kerr, who is now less than half a second behind Edmondson. Catches a little bit of that sausage curb, really not ideal. Mazda seems to manage it all right, and a great run. This looks like an excellent exit for Kerr, and he's having a look on the inside. Does he think that he has enough to get by Edmondson? He's considering it, or maybe he's at least just making sure Edmondson knows that he's there. I'd be surprised if he doesn't at this point. Little psychological games. And again, Kerr taking the very inside line on turn 1 and 2. Looks like he lost a little bit of speed onto turn 3. And he's going to fall back a little bit. Might be that he's taking this opportunity to suss out Edmondson, discover where he might be faster, and where those opportunities for an overtake might be, but he's running out of laps. I'm sure he doesn't want to be too aggressive. He's already sitting on some championship points, and Edmondson was a little late on the brakes there, and you can see that Kerr is now right on top of him. There wasn't really an open door to make a move, not in the corkscrew. Kind of need to line up for that much earlier, be in the braking zone, go in side by side. But now Kerr could be close enough. Edmondson possibly going to be a little defensive, and well, no. He started to look like he was going to go defensive, but comes back out to the racing line. A little wide on the turn. You can see these two drivers taking very different lines through turn 1 and 2. Oh, and a painful mistake for Kerr there as he drifts wide into turn 3, or out of turn 3 rather. And that makes him fall out of, not out of draft, but oh, that is a dagger through the heart. Certainly not over, but that is a mistake he cannot afford to make. But Edmondson looks like he might be returning the favor. Not a huge mistake, but also didn't get a good run through the kink and coming down through the corkscrew. Oh, a big error from Edmondson. That definitely opens the door. Edmondson seems to be handing that one to Kerr, who easily gets by in the rainy curve and now moves up into P6. More championship points on the board. So a small mistake from Kerr going out into the dirt, allowing Edmondson to get by, and then a bigger mistake from Edmondson, overcooking it through the corkscrew, and Kerr grabbing that position and now running away. Next target, Callis. Can Kerr actually secure a P5? He's currently sitting in P6. And that's 3.2 seconds with only 3 laps remaining. Is that enough time? I would have to say, given the way the drivers are driving today, I don't know that it is. There have been a few mistakes here and there. But 4 seconds now does seem insurmountable with only a few laps remaining. As Kerr kicks up some dust coming through the corkscrew, he's really going to need to focus mostly on maintaining that position and securing the championship points that he already has. Oh, and big hit on the sausage curb. Definitely not recommended. Do some damage to your suspension or throw your car offline, lose valuable speed. And as you can see, they crossed the line and it's white flag. Final lap. Kerr in P6, 2 seconds ahead of Edmondson in P7. As long as he doesn't make any critical errors, and there's no guarantee of that. We've already seen it a few times this race. If he can be consistent, then P6 should be his. And as I look at that timing board, actually, Hualta is out. We don't know exactly what happened. We're going to have to check with our replay teams, but Hutala is listed as out on the timing board, who was in P4. And if that is accurate, then Kerr might already be sitting in a top 5 position. So definitely no need to push at this point. He's not going to close in on 3.5 seconds, that gap ahead to Kalis. But serious mistakes aside, that 2-second buffer in front of Edmondson as he gets cleanly through that kink. Maybe not the fastest line through the kink, but he's safe. And through the corkscrew, definitely does not want to be late on the brakes here. He is, just as I say that, it looks like he did go a little deep on the line, not the most optimal line through the corkscrew, but stayed on the track. Didn't pick up a off-track penalty. Those slowdowns, which are very easy to get through the corkscrew, are absolutely painful. And that's it. So starting in P9, falling down to P11, battling all the way with Hampton, and Kerr finishes with a P5. And having a look at our Team 4SR League Championship race results, with Kerr managing to secure that top 5 finish, he earns 10 championship points. This race is not a race day Sunday event, so no bonus available for that. And it was a solo attempt with JF not participating in this split. And Kerr didn't manage to get the fastest lap, so no bonus points on the board, but 10 championship points, which are the first one posted in this championship. That sets him up pretty nicely for the Race Day Sunday event, where I do believe both Kerr and JF will be driving. And that finish puts a little bit of pressure on JF, and definitely, I'm sure, encourages Kerr to try to finish a little bit higher the next time. Well, for all of us here at LiveReplay TV, I'm Jeremy Kerr, reminding you to make your races replay worthy so we can make your replays broadcast worthy.